Hello everyone, my name's Aaron with Jackson Bottom and welcome to Backyard Science. This week is all about gardening, so today we're talking about containers. What is a container, you ask? Well, a container is an object that's usually large enough to hold soil and enough water for a plant to grow. So this could be a wide range of things. So let's go have a look at what containers you can use in your own garden. So when choosing your container, there's a few things that you want to keep in mind. Are you growing from seed? Are you growing from a potted plant? So there's different things that you're going to need within your container to help your plant grow at its best. So we have a couple of containers here that are made of paper or cardboard. Now, these things aren't going to make a great long-term container, but they make a perfect starter container. Starters are where you can put seeds in a small amount of dirt to help them start and grow. This is going to help them start and become a much bigger plant later on in life. Now, a lot of people use their starters inside, but if the weather's nice enough, you can easily make your starts outside as well. Now, you can also use toilet paper rolls as starters as well. Anything that's cardboard is going to actually help degrade and become part of the soil later on and feed the plant as it grows. Now, once the plant grows, you can then pot it to something a little bit more stable. Now, when your plant gets to that point, you can use all kinds of different containers. So you can use old kitchen appliances. You can use old pots that you find lying around the house or maybe your neighbor has in a free pile. Even coffee mugs, or even old yogurt containers. So a lot of plastic containers are actually perfect for holding plants because they're solid enough to hold the water and the soil, but they also come with lids. And lids are the perfect base to help hold any extra water that may fall out. You would want to make sure to puncture water holes at the bottom. So this is for drainage. Now, you're not going to be able to punch holes in an old candle, but you will be able to in something plastic or perhaps wooden. And this is going to help with drainage. Now, some plants need a really well-drained soil, so it dries quickly. Others don't need much drainage, so they're totally okay in something that doesn't allow water to escape. So when you're punching holes, you want to be extremely careful and use an adult's help, and you can use scissors, or I find even a screwdriver works great because you don't have to puncture, you can just press and twist. And as you twist, it's going to screw some of that plastic off and make a nice little hole at the bottom there. So you want to use at least 3 to 4 holes depending on how big your container is. The bigger it is, the more holes you want. Now, drainage is key for a lot of potted plants, but you also want airflow. Believe it or not, most soil is about 20% oxygen. So plants need a lot of air within their soil to grow as well. And in some pots, like this old mustard container, the water can't escape, and that means the air can't flow in either. So usually pots like this are great for succulents or other plants that don't necessarily need a lot of air. So let's do a little demo on how to start your potted plants. So to start a seedling, you can easily use a toilet paper tube. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold the bottom of it to help hold in that soil and moisture. So you're going to take your thumbs on each side and you're going to press them in and fold it into kind of like a clam shape. Now, what you're gonna do next is you're gonna flip it over and you're gonna fold in the corners. Now use your thumb to fold in one corner at a time, all right? That's gonna help the folds kind of stick together a little bit. Now, use your other finger there to hold that. You're gonna bend that in. Now, when you pull these out just a little bit, you then have a nice base that's gonna hold the soil, all right? And it's gonna look kind of like that, okay? Now, what you're gonna do is you're going to fill it with your soil. Now, I here have some topsoil that I got just from the local hardware store, but you are easily able to use soil that you find in your yard or free soil that maybe a neighbor may have. So there's all kinds of options to use. Now you want to make sure that your soil is a little bit loamy, which means it's airy. It has a little bit more of like a fluff to it. If you use anything that has a lot of clay or is really heavy and thick, then your plant's not going to be able to grow roots very well. So you want some space between your soil in there, all right? Now you don't have to fill it all the way, but just fill it to about 3/4 full, okay? And then you're going to plant your seed. Now, I here have some dill seeds. So herbs are a great thing you can plant indoors or out. Some plants you're probably gonna wanna plant outside. Most plants do great in containers, but some will do much better if they're in the soil, like in a raised bed or a garden box. Now, you put a seed in there, and you always want to make sure that it's not too deep. A lot of seeds only need to be about 1 inch deep or less. Some of them only about 1/4 inch. So you don't have to top much soil on top of it, but just a little sprinkle, and you want to make sure that it's somewhat packed. Now, what you're going to do next is you're going to give it a little water, and you're going to set it in a sunny area. So since your starter is cardboard, just like an egg carton or even this drink holder here, these are great starters, but water is gonna seep through them and they're gonna become wet and moist and soak anything you sit them on. So you want to make sure that they have a waterproof base underneath them, either like a metal tray or a plastic lid, something that they're gonna hold. Even like a little mason jar fits perfectly inside there. So that is going to help keep the water in, and it's going to allow that seed to get as much water as it needs. Now, once the plant grows old enough, you can then take them out, cut them out, and transplant them directly into a different pot. So some main issues you may run into with potted plants, especially non-aerated or non-draining potted plants like these two, is over-watering. Now this aloe right here is a great example of a little bit of over-watering. You see how there's green at the bottom of the stem, but the yellow and brown starts to become much deeper in color towards the tip. So this is a perfect sign of over-watering. So to prevent this, you can either transplant this to a different pot, let the roots grow out more in dry soil, or try to dry this out in the sun for a little bit longer. So another problem you may run into with potted plants is the lack of feeding. So these Swiss chard plants are growing great. However, they're looking a little wilted and a little weak in color. This probably means that they need more space and nutrients within the soil. So repotting these into a bigger pot would probably help them dramatically.
So my garden consists of all different types of planters. This planter box I actually made of free wood that I found in the neighborhood. Right now, since everyone's in quarantine, there are plenty of free piles around your neighborhood. So ask your parents and you guys can go searching and might find some really cool things to plant your plants in. This laundry basket was also in a free pile. It's doing wonders for my tomatoes right now. So I also have an old plastic basket growing some green onions and peas, some terracotta pots, and some old nursery pots as well. So there's all kinds of things that you can use as a potter. Now I have plenty of peas growing in this metal water trough here, and plenty of potatoes growing in this giant Rubbermaid tube. This Rubbermaid tub is tall enough for these potatoes, and it makes a perfect home for them to grow. Now notice how I've put holes in the sides of the walls. Some of them may not be for drainage, but they're going to allow air into the soil that helps the plants breathe a lot better and fruit much more.
So making your container garden is super easy and is really fun to do. I hope that this video has given you guys some ideas on some containers that you could use for your own garden. So thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great time planting, and we'll see you next week.